Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
From the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Good evening, chat. How are we doing out there, everybody? Hell yeah, we are back. We are back with MH370. We are going to address the evidence, the haters, the UFO community, everybody. It's time to do this. You guys know why. If you're in here right now, you guys know what's good. Joe Rogan posted the videos on the podcast he did that came out today. Now, the reason why I thought it was interesting is that yesterday was supposed to be the day where I was supposed to be on Joe Rogan. March 25th was the date that we had set before he backed out of it. And instead, he had Kurt Metzger on, who he's a comedian. I think he did a pretty good job in general, honestly. He even defended the authenticity of the videos a little bit to us. Or for us, although he did call me autistic. We're going to take a look at that. We're going to look at those clips. Let me make this full screen. We're going to take a look at those clips, and we are going to show the videos. I'm going to go through the best evidence. I'm going to address the debunks. We're going to get it all out there in the open because I'm just tired of the bullshit. I'm not offended. I'm just disappointed at this point. So this is the letter, the video letter to Joe Rogan. If he's out there or his people watch this, I hope that they do. Because I want them to know a few things. First thing I want people to know is that I have not been doing this for attention or for fame or for money or for anything like that. I don't give a crap about any of that stuff at all. The only thing I care about is the truth. And the truth is the United States government took MH370. That's what happened. That's the reason why they never found the plane, even though they searched for 3 years in a supposed area where they claimed they had satellite pings that proved that the plane crashed there. This is the reason why they developed a fake story about a pilot's suicide that makes no sense whatsoever, because something big had to be covered up. Yes, conspiracies are possible. These videos prove it beyond the shadow of a doubt. The thing about these videos that we're going to go over tonight that's so big compared to other videos, what you're going to see in this clip is Joe Rogan mentions there's a lot of bullshit out there. Yes, there is. There's never been a video where I said, wow, that's incredible. I need to go prove that's real to the world. This is a real incident where a plane disappeared from thin air. That does not happen in 2014. Planes don't just disappear. They just don't go untracked. That's not a thing that's possible. The reason why these videos are the most compelling videos in the world is that it's not just lights flashing around or it's not just a UFO. It actually has a real world event incorporated with it that you can be dug into, that you can look into the evidence, and you'll find, just like we found through MH370X, the evidence corroborates the videos being real. That's the strongest aspect of them. You think I want to believe that we can zap a plane out of existence or to somewhere else? No, I don't want to have to believe that. That's incredible. That has huge implications to our reality. But here's the next craziest part. It lines up with everything that's being told about UFOlogy. It lines up with what Kurt and Joe Rogan were talking about right after the MH370 clip. Why would the government lie about this? Maybe they're covering up the whole aliens thing is maybe just a distraction from the idea that we have this technology. Jeremy Corbell was told by Commander Fravor of the Nimitz Tic Tac incident that the CIA tried to convince Fravor that Lockheed Martin was the owners of that technology. That's the independent conclusion that I've come to looking at the MH370 videos. That's Lockheed Martin technology. CIA didn't have to tell me that. We figured that out. What if it really is CIA tech? What if it really is Lockheed Martin technology and our technology? Think of the implications of that. What if we actually can teleport a plane? What if we can actually do that? Think about what that means for our reality all around us. It means that conclusively there's an extra dimension. It means that we can absolutely manipulate gravity. The same exact way that Joe Rogan and Elon Musk talked about it. Warping space-time around an object. It's consistent with the laws of physics. It's the thing about the science, and the science is real too, is that we don't need new science. We don't have to come up with new theories. The current laws of physics and science are already consistent with these videos being real. So, guys, before we get going, I want to thank everybody who's been in the chat. I want to thank all of the MH370X investigators, the people who have followed along all this time. So I'm just going to read out some names going through the chat here real quick. Everybody who's in here, I appreciate you. Even if you're a hater, I appreciate you. William, thank you very much, man. Kat, Possum, PJ, Mike, Jess, Aaron, Alex, Billy Brew, Yasser, Joe, JML, Show Goat. If I miss you, I apologize. I'm just going to try to go real quick. Joe Moss, Drammies, Staycation Jason's, great to see you. Sandy, awesome to see you. Zach, appreciate you. Hisatsu, thank you. Devos, glad you're here. S23, Ellie, always glad to see you, Ellie. Arlie Castillo, thank you very much for being here. UK, Yusuf, AS, S23, Andy, Trump Forever. Appreciate you guys. Amanda, my favorite follower. Ice Rain J, appreciate you too. Andy, just in case I didn't get you. K-Stack, Sir Harold, Alianne, S. Walker, James, Pig James, if you're out there, appreciate you too. Alex, Mr. H. Slug, Anthony Jones. I think I got everybody. We Rona, appreciate you as well. Okay, guys. Oh, and Braza Brian. So thank you, everybody who's been out here. Oh, and I see you, Gerald. Thanks for being in there, guys. Okay, let's get straight down to it. I don't want to waste too much time on this tonight. I want to dig through it. This is going to be a fun stream. We're going to go through the videos. We're going to go through the evidence. We're going to get people up to speed. If you're a new follower and you don't know what's going on, we've been investigating MH370 for 7 months or so. I stopped the investigation March 8th. Haven't really dug into anything new since then. I've continued to do podcasts because I've been invited to a lot, and I was invited to a lot even before that. There's a few more coming up as well that are pretty large. It's going to be awesome. Special shout out to Matt Kim. His was one of the biggest ones that really helped elevate us. Zach Payne, I just did on Saturday, has like 70,000 plus views or something like that on that podcast. The reason why these podcasts get so many views is because the information is extremely compelling. Because people resonate with the truth. And when people lie, it doesn't seem to resonate with people. So, yes, these videos are going to be hard for people to believe tonight. We're going to go through the debunks as well for people. I have a bunch of clips lined up that we will go through and we'll talk about them. And at the end of the day, if you don't want to believe these videos are real, you want to believe that it's video game effects or whatever, absolutely. You know what? Go back to your normal job. Ignore this entirely. In fact, your mental well-being might be a little bit better for it, because the truth of these videos, just like what's happened to me and probably a lot of these people in the chat, is the moment you realize these videos are real, it's going to change your whole perception on everything. Everything's going to change. And there's no going back to sleep once you've woken up to this. The idea that we can actually pull off major conspiracies, we being the United States government, and that we can lie to the whole world using the media, and that we have technology that is magic. Straight up magic. Like, we're talking Harry Potter stuff here. Invisible cloaks, teleporting stuff around. We might even have medical healing capabilities that we don't even know about. You know? this blew my mind when I dug into it. People may say that I'm obsessed. Not really. What I am is I think I found my purpose. I found something that matters. Because as the person I was podcasting, Donnie today, Donnie Spellbreaker, sorry, and I talked about is that this technology will change our planet. Just a fraction of this technology will change our planet. It will help out millions of people in the United States. Free energy alone will make it so that we don't have to have people starving. It'll make it so we don't have to have people that are homeless. Will it bring down centralized government and destroy the economy as it is right now? Yes. And hopefully we'll rebuild it back better. Because that's what we really need. Okay, first of all, cheers. You guys know me, Martini Man. And yes, I already stuffed the blue cheese olives. Only blue cheese olives, guys. Only blue cheese olives. And yes, this technology is way better than Harry Potter. Okay, so I want to start with the clip. Let's get into full screen here. So how did this all play out today? Well, I was sitting there today. I was looking through my DMs, which thankfully I'm not showing right now. I have a bad habit of doing that. And it was actually Hermes. Credit to Hermes. Big Pooh if he's out there. He said, hey, you need to watch Joe Rogan clip at 2 hours and 27 minutes. And what do I see? But I see the video here of Kurt Metzger with Joe Rogan, and they're talking about the MH370 videos. Wow. I mean, that alone is big, okay? Like, the videos are out there and they're in the zeitgeist. Now, real quick before I get into this, one more thing I want to say. I'm going to switch it back. Is that I've already accomplished my goal. I've done enough to get the information out there. I've pushed the conversation of UFOs and advanced technology in a direction that I don't think anybody has ever pushed it before. I have shown people that we potentially can actually have this technology, and it may not look like what we imagine it to look like, flying saucers or whatever, that it can be orbs, and that it's way, way darker and way more powerful than what we would have imagined. The idea that we could annihilate something, that we could teleport something, that we could create energy densities that amplify to such a degree where we can make a plane, a 777, disappear. That means that if we amplify that further, we might be able to destroy an entire planet. This is hugely significant. This is not anything that any of these other UFO disclosure people out there or whatever have been talking about. And that's what I think also makes it compelling. Is that I think anybody who's looked into the UFO stuff like I have for several years now have thought it's not going to be what we expect. And oh boy, is it not what we expect. So here we go. Let's listen to this clip, everybody. Rude. Kurt, that's rude. Anyway, carry on.
An ounce of how they looked at it.
Okay, chat. Yeah, very disappointing. Very disappointing. But you know what? Not unexpected. Now, why is it not unexpected? Oh, where's my video camera? Why is it not unexpected? Because this is a lot to believe. This is a lot to take in for anybody, even for Joe Rogan and somebody who is open to the idea that's out there. So let's go ahead and address Joe Rogan's arguments and points here, and then I'm going to read through what I mentioned here as well, just so that we can really drive this home. Okay, let's look at the debunks. Give me 1 second. Okay, videos. Okay, first and foremost, where is it? VFX frame match. Okay, here we go. Okay. Zoom in. Okay, first of all, this is the one frame overlaid that Joe Rogan presumably saw the Corridor Crew post. I don't think he knows the history of this. This is not from the Corridor Crew. This is not from Danny Jones. This is not from the Lore Lodge. This is from Mick West. This goes back to August 19th, 2023, where a one-day-old Reddit account claimed to have found an asset that matched. This is the frame that supposedly matches, overlaid over the video back and forth. You can clearly see these are not the same. You can tell that the middle is not even close to the same. People make the argument that, well, they just modified it all. What'd they do? How'd they modify the middle part of it? This is not even the same shape in the middle. And why would they do that? Nobody modifies the VFX asset. I have multiple examples of actual movies and video games using this asset, and none of them have modified it. The Killing Time video game did not modify it. Attack on Titan used this in one of their promotional materials. They did not modify it. The movie Starship Troopers used this for an explosion of an asteroid. They did not modify it either, because that's not how stock effects work. You don't modify them. The whole point of a stock effect is to use it as it is so that you don't have to come up with your own effect. So this shouldn't be very controversial because you're looking at it right here. And you've been looking at it for the last 30 seconds. But just in case, and I want to show you how dishonest Mick West and these other serial debunkers are. They're just completely dishonest people. And I don't know if they're just delusional because they think that nothing can be real except for what they believe in, or that their government or CNN wouldn't lie to them or whatever it is. I don't really care what their purpose is. I just care about the truth. The truth is, this is not in our video. So, to add on to it, here is the whole effect overlaid over our video. And you can see very clearly this is not in our video. You can see the one frame that is similar right here. And then after that, nothing is even remotely close. This one right here, I mean, look at all the zap effect and stuff that you see here that could never match our videos. It's just not possible. You can just tell right away, not even similar. So you're telling me someone erased all this stuff and changed it all around to get it to look like something that they had no frame of reference for? This is how VFX actually works, because I've talked to actual experts. You don't change the stuff around. You put it in there from the way that it's set up, and you need a reference for something that you are trying to make something look like. The reason why the debunkers were able to get it to look the same is because they're looking at it side by side. And then they're matching it up and they're trying to get it to match. But when you watch this, you can tell that it doesn't match. And this is the one that actually has the extra frames built into it that wasn't updated until after 2015, I believe. When you look at something side by side, of course, after time, you could finally get something to match, but you've now manipulated to a degree where you could have just created it from scratch. Now, more importantly, when we look at our videos, when we look at our slow motion zap, this zap, what we see here is consistent with science. The orbs converging in are what's amplifying the energy. They're creating an azimuth around the plane, a bubble around the plane. This thing is gone in a fraction of a second. There's only 3 or 4 frames of this zap, and this is in slow-mo. When you watch it in full time, the thing is gone in a fraction of a second. So yes, I understand it's hard to believe. But again, as a statement of fact, this asset is not in our videos. Now, here's the Taylor set off blast waves, just to prove to Joe Rogan and everybody else that it is not some 1 in a million coincidence that you can have a what do you call this, blast wave that matches. Look at all these examples of very similar effects around the edges. And this is from Level 39. Shout out to him for figuring this out. He finds at least 3 different edges that you can get to match our videos. Because again, all dispersion effects look the same. Look at that. It's a perfect match. Nearly a perfect match. Perfect match. It's honestly better than the Pyromania VFX.
MH370 videos.
So to Joe Rogan's point, they found the edges that are the same. Well, yes.
These are clearly not the same.
And even before they found this, they argued that it was an ink drop. They argued that it was a supernova. Again, there's been, even before this debunk came out, there were multiple arguments for what they were claiming it was. And then they went with this one, and this is the one that was used to completely censor the discussion on Reddit entirely. Look at that.
Does this mean the McGill researchers faked their blast
all the way
wave?
Around?
Of course not. In 2018, researchers...
Sorry, I didn't realize the sound was going there. And then there's one more here as well. Another blast wave effect. Same thing. And you're going to see here as well that this one is also a match. They're all a match. Sorry I didn't mute that video earlier. I'll go back and show it one more time. Okay. Dog's upset. Okay, so here we go. We can see here now, exact match. First one. Lulu, chill. This one's also a match. All three are matches. Okay, so there being some type of similarities in the blast wave means nothing. This does not prove it. Okay, now to add on to that as well. We had a $150,000 bounty out there. Kim.com, you've heard of him, threw up $100,000. We had the Investigate Earth podcast threw in another $20,000. A wealthy donor who's been a supporter, who actually I have a text message from right now, has thrown in $20,000. Now, this is no longer out there, no longer valid, and I threw in an extra $5,000. This adds up to $150,000 from real people who have the real money, and nobody came forward with any evidence that they had created these videos. No one. Even though I've gotten hundreds of millions of views in the last few months, nobody came forward. Not for $150,000, not for fame, not to debunk the videos, not just to do the right thing. So if these videos are fake, if this is some kind of hoaxer situation, where is that hoaxer? Why do they not seem to exist? Okay? Now, let's go through some of the other debunks. I want to address all the debunks first. Now, I don't have the cloud image that is out there at the moment, but I want to address that next because these are the two most prominent debunks that are out there. The Zap, which apparently is still getting enough headway for people to believe it to be real. A cloud image was found on December 10th, I want to say, somewhere around there. And it was found by a 6-day-old Reddit account. The 6-day-old Reddit account claimed that they found this cloud image in 20 minutes of searching on a textures.com website. They claim that they did this because, guess what? I upset them because I dunked on their idiot heroes, the Corridor crew. Remember those morons that sat on the couch and spliced in cartoons in their videos? Guys that are complete idiots that have Geordie LaForge-looking glasses? Well, somebody got upset by that. And they went ahead and they supposedly found an exact picture that had the clouds in our satellite video in it. And not all of them, but most of them. There's still to this day, no explanation for why not all of the clouds have been found. Maybe they rendered a few of the extra missing clouds. Not really sure. This person did not want to come forward and be the person to debunk the videos. So instead, what happened was anonymous people like that person, that 6-day-old Reddit account, sent an email to the supposed photographer of the picture, found who the photographer of the picture was somehow, and sent an anonymous email on a burner email account to them. This has been admitted to, and I have on tape, from the photographer. And the photographer got an email. The account was just thought you should know at proton.me or something like that. Told the photographer where they can find the images because the photographer couldn't even find their own images on the website. And in their debunk video that they ended up making, they couldn't even find their own images on the website. But somehow an anonymous 6-day-old Reddit account found them on there in 20 minutes in a sea of pictures where, I don't know, you tell me how exactly they were able to ID that the clouds were in there, especially because some of them had to be stretched out, inverted, rotated. I tried to look and I couldn't even find matching cloud pictures when I was looking at them side by side. So we looked the images up. The photographer made a debunk video within 1 hour of receiving the anonymous emails. 1 hour. Decides, I'm going to go ahead and drop everything I'm doing and make a debunk video about this without knowing anything about the videos. Also, spoiler, I talked to the photographer, and one of the only questions I asked him was, do you know who the Corridor crew are? Oh, yeah, I've been following them for 15 years. It's amazing that everybody involved is linked to the Corridor crew. And everybody involved is also a VFX expert. Incredible. People found clips of the photographer where the photographer admitted that they dabbled in photo manipulation, as well as there's another clip of them literally editing clouds into a background of a picture within 30 seconds. Incredible. The images in question, when we looked into them, only go back to 2016 on the Wayback Machine. Post-dating the videos, which appeared in 2014. The images with the clouds in question did not Google reverse image search back to the website at all. Other images in there did, but those did not. In fact, if you even looked at it even now, you're going to find that they'll go back to Reddit where the clouds pictures were posted, but they won't go back to the website. So the photographer in question told us, well, maybe these have been hacked, or maybe that pirates took them from the old website that this had migrated from in 2014. So you know what we did? We searched for those torrents from the old website, cgtextures.com. You know what we found? Nothing. The pictures don't exist on multiple torrents. That is incredible. You know why it's really incredible? Because I've had multiple scammers. One committed a felony fraud against me, posting fake pictures, fake RAR file, password-protected scheme with a whole backstory, went back and forth with me over 200 emails, and stole $3,000 from me. Willing to commit felony fraud with fake metadata in the files indicating that they are falsely from 2014. This is how far people are willing to go to lie about these videos. And that doesn't even include the government. In addition to that, we found that multiple higher quality images can be made from existing cloud images in under 1 minute using AI tools right now. The assets that we looked up on the Textures.com website were modified and updated December 6, 2023. If anybody knows databases, updates on database rows on elements are not common. Even when you do an upgrade, they will not update the individual elements on a database row. I know because I work with databases my whole life. So it's pretty damn suspicious. The photographer in question was offered $10,000 by Kim.com. He said he would take it while I was in the video with him that I have recorded. And then the next day pretended like it never happened. And then when he was confronted when I posted the video clip, claimed, okay, yeah, now I'll take it. I never said I wouldn't. I never said I wouldn't sign. All he had to do was sign an affidavit saying there was nothing wrong with the pictures. Oh, and the photographer also knows the Textures.com owner personally. Incredible. Lots of coincidences going on with this. Lastly, actually not even lastly, there's more. So then people started analyzing the pictures and found technical discrepancies, which I'm not going to go into all the technical discrepancies because I don't understand a lot of it, to be honest with you. But what I will say is somebody found a Flickr image of Mount Fuji from the picture that has the exact angle and shadows on the Mount Fuji that we see in the supposed Textures.com cloud picture. Exactly. Now, this picture was supposedly taken from an airplane. So was there other people taking pictures from airplanes at the exact same location, at the exact same angle to create the same exact shadows on Mount Fuji? Or was it possible that that image was manipulated from an existing image to add the clouds into it in order to supposedly debunk our videos? I leave that for you guys to decide. But the most important thing why none of this matters is that days before this cloud image ever showed up, we already proved that there was a hole in the clouds showing that the cloud is being distorted by the actual orb as it goes through it. I'm trying to see if I have that anywhere handy. I may have to look that up later. But not just that, but the clouds evolve. I'm not talking move, but actually evolve when you watch them. So I'll go ahead and try to show that here right now. Full screen. Now, if we go to the satellite, highest quality, maximize this. If I go to, say, like this frame here, and I just go back and forth, you can see the clouds evolving. You can see them moving around. Some of this is possibly compression, but other of it is actually where the clouds are the lightest, even though it's only 2 or 3 seconds, you can see how the clouds evolve. And let's see, if I go to this area, let's take, which area here? Which one? This one's probably the best. Let me see, because this is the longest. Yeah. So when I move this around, you can clearly see the clouds moving around. You can actually see in the background in the water as well, where some of the little white dots will actually completely disappear. Some of the best spots is right about here where my mouse is. You can actually see this spot completely evolve and change around. Okay. This type of evolving is not something that you could have from a 2D cloud effect. But in addition to that, our 2D cloud picture, in addition to that, and this is before the cloud image even showed up, we had synced up the clouds. So we inverted this drone video here. This has been inverted because the drone's on the other side. So you have to flip it around to get it to match. And then lined up actually didn't even have to line it up. This is just exactly having the videos in synchronization here. And you can see the first cloud right here. This cloud right here that we see in the background matches up with this cloud potentially back here, which indicates that the drone is just off the screen in the north right here at about this angle. And then we're seeing that cloud right there. And then we can see the second cloud right here, which is going to be this cloud you see right next to it. So you can pretty much actually triangulate the exact location of the drone from this. And this type of thing means that this would have had to use a full 3D rendered environment, because you need to make the 3D rendered environment to have the clouds be three-dimensional. There is parallax in the drone video, meaning you can see three-dimensionality. They even zoom in at the early part where you can actually see the clouds have dynamic parallax in them. This is not something you can do with Adobe After Effects. This requires a full 3D rendered environment using software such as CAD or another 3D software. Not just that, there's more. The zap in the videos as well. Let me see. Accurate illumination. Where's the illumination? Sorry, guys. I've got a lot of videos. Okay, and if you guys have questions, go ahead and let me know while I'm looking this zap illumination up. Okay, well, what I guess I'll do is I'll just go show the other one. I can't find my short here. Thank you guys once again for being here. Stereoscopic effect. Okay, I'll just show this one again. Okay, so in this one here as well, and maybe I'll do a full analysis just for you guys, but let's go ahead and show the zap. So when you see this zap happen here, you can see that if you look closely, when I change between those frames, you'll be able to see the edges of the clouds light up. Now, not just that, people have gone and done, used software to take a look at this, and they found that the clouds accurately illuminate in all directions in 3 dimensions here. This cannot be done in Adobe After Effects. This requires, again, full 3D render environment where you create accurate lighting based on the location of the plane here. So again, if you see me zoom back and forth between this, you can see the accurate illumination. You can see how it increases right here around the clouds as well. This is all accurate illumination. So these are the types of details that that you can really not add. I mean, fake videos don't have these levels of details. So let me see. I'm trying to see if I can find the picture of it so I can prove it to you guys real quick. Here it is. Found it quickly. Okay, so this is from the 3D side-by-side version of the video, which is the original Regicide Anon version. So this is the one where they've adjusted the lighting so that you can see that the lighting is accurately illuminating the clouds in the background and in the foreground and on the edges. This cloud down here, which is like barely not seen, is getting almost no light. So this level of accurate lighting cannot be done in Adobe After Effects, guys. So there you go. This is absolute proof that we are not looking at a 2D cloud picture. This requires a full 3D rendered environment. Okay, fun times. Okay, let's go ahead and look. Let's go through the letter real quick, and then we're going to go through the videos at the end, okay? And I haven't even got into the science aspects of this yet. So the science also checks out. I have made friends with people like Salvatore Pais, who, if Joe Rogan's listening, I would recommend that you take a look at the Salvatore Pais patents, high-frequency gravitational wave generator. Take a look at inertial mass reduction for a transmedium craft. Take a look at piezoelectric induced superconductivity, high temperature superconductivity. And that's going to be a good segue in here to this first part. Joe Rogan says that he sent the videos to Jeremy Corbell, who said it was bullshit. Jeremy Corbell said it was bullshit. Jeremy Corbell doesn't even know what superconductivity is. He called them supercapacitors. He doesn't even know why superconductivity is relevant to the discussion. If he did, he probably would have figured out disclosure years ago. So I'm going to go ahead and show you why it's important. This is why it's important. What is that? That's a floating rock. Does that remind you guys of anything? It reminds me of a UFO hovering. Now, that's not enough. Let's go look at this other one. Just because people think this has been debunked, which, by the way, it's been rebunked recently as well, and it was the American Physical Society had a big conference where they presented a ton of evidence for why this is real room temperature superconductivity from a metamaterial. This rock is floating, suspended in thin air with a magnet to the side of it, not even above it. This is called flux pinning. This is called the Meissner effect. When he jiggles the magnet, the rock moves along with it because it's flux pinned, because the magnetic fields are both warping around the rock as well as parts of it are going through it. Now, this speaks to the penetration, the London penetration depth, in terms of how far the magnetic fields can penetrate through the object, through the rock here. They throw a hoop around it, show you there's nothing, no hokery going on. Superconductivity is important because superconductivity is zero resistance in a conductor. Zero resistance. They throw a screw on it just to show you here that this is not a trick, that this is really a magnet. Now, if you have zero resistance, now this is where you have Cooper pairs forming. Cooper pairs are, in my mind, equivalent, similar to Bose-Einstein condensates, where now the electrons are beginning to act like a wave, where they're not hitting anything. They're just flowing. And this is like quantum mechanics, where objects can just pass through other stuff, just seemingly cheat, so to speak. Now, this is the part where superconductivity can induce these types of behaviors that we're seeing. If we can get the electrons to break free from their original position, even in like an airplane or any object, we can begin to form a matter wave. Now, who has a patent for a matter wave? Let's go ahead and look up coherent matter wave beam. Oh, let's just check this out. Hold on. Coherent matter wave beam. Oh, look at this. Systems and methods for generating coherent matter wave beams. Lockheed Martin Corporation. 2011. Incredible. And when we look at it, it's got resonant cavities here. You know how small this is? 10 microns. 10 microns across. This is almost as small as a COVID virus. Just to give you an idea of how small this is. Imagine how advanced this technology is relative to what we know out there today. The way this is being hidden is because you combine various components and patents that are out there. Next thing you know, you got a little orb that can float around and defy gravity. That's the reality of how this stuff is hidden. You want to know how it's hidden? Is that they figure this type of stuff out, but it leaks out there because it's got to leak out there. Unless they classify every patent, but they don't care because it doesn't matter the individual components that you find. It matters combining them together. That's what makes the difference. That's what makes the magic happen. Even when we look at the Salvatore Pais patents, you need to combine them together. Next thing you know, you've got a UFO. Okay. So, respectfully to Jeremy Corbell and the rest of the UFO community that are out there, you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. You guys have no idea what the hell you're talking about. You guys care about aliens and trying to figure out weird sightings of stuff that doesn't even move fast. Like Joe Rogan says, I like the stuff that moves fast. When you've got a jellyfish alien that's moving around like a balloon, what exactly you got there? Nothing. And when you say, oh, I've got another video of it entering the water and shooting off into outer space, well, show us that video. Show us the video of it going into the water and shooting off into outer space. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see a video of it just floating around. I'm showing you guys videos of orbs that are defying gravity. They're defying gravity and teleporting a plane somewhere. Show me something like that. Really break it down for me. If somebody else shows me 2 videos of military assets in perfect synchronization with one another from 2 different perspectives, I'm going to take that seriously. Very seriously. Look at the lines in front of these orbs. Look at these lines in front of the orbs. Did somebody make this up? They're creating their own gravity well in their own path. There is nothing like this anywhere on Earth. Nobody's ever seen any videos like this before, ever. No frame of reference for any of this stuff. Bob Greenyer didn't go back in time. and invent these videos. And Bob Greenyer is the first person in fractal toroidal moments who looked at these videos and looked at our zap. Let me pull it up. Here we go. Who looked at this and said that the orbs, the heat signatures that you see in these orbs here, when you see these, this is consistent with a topological monopole, the idea of a magnetic monopole. The first paper that was published in academia, in our public science, was by Aalto University, AALTO. You guys can look it up. Talks about topological monopoles, and that is after the videos came out. Bob Greenyer, I would argue, is probably the premier expert on this type of stuff. He's an actual engineer. He works in low-energy nuclear reactions experimentally, not theoretically. And he has shown that potentially cold fusion can exist from the thunderstorm generator. Weirdly enough, this is another one where Joe Rogan talked to this guy, Malcolm Bendel, and never posted the video because he thought it was a scam. Well, I got newsflash for you. I have on pretty good authority that it's not, and it's being tested, and that it will potentially change the world by showing us that over-unity is possible through cold fusion, and that essentially we can have coefficient of performance greater than 1, and alchemy can be produced. We went and did a video on it the other day. What we see here, you can see the orbs orient. Actually, I'm going to save this for a little bit later and go back into this. But when these orbs converge here, they are amplifying the energy. This is how they're achieving energy densities that are ripping through the fabric of our reality to the extra dimension. And the reason why this is cold is because we're seeing what is referred to as entropy, negative energy. And if you can create that, then you can create a wormhole. That's what we're looking at, is the fundamental equivalent of a wormhole. This is what they really look like, apparently. It's not like science fiction. It's just like this. You rip through the fabric of space and time itself, and this is now how you can have this object go from a deterministic point in time to a probabilistic one. In this frame, you can actually still see the tail of the engine sticking out of it, or the tail of the plane sticking out of it. In the last frame, you can actually see gravitational lensing. You can see gravitational lensing in the final frame. So anyway, we'll come back to that in a second here. I don't understand why Ashton is not a scientist. That's a good question. I don't know why I'm not a scientist either. I love science, but I like business and economics more. It's that's really where my forte is. The science of common sense, as I call it. Okay. Now, I don't want to dunk on the Corridor crew more than I already have. Well, you know what? I kind of do, actually. So, the Corridor crew are absolute fucking morons. They're some of the dumbest people on the face of the earth. I don't think anybody should be listening to anything they say. They're not experts. I'm not even sure they're actually VFX experts at this point. I'm pretty sure they just farm it out to other people. And the people that you see in those videos are just the front men for it. They're the people that they go on the screen and try to appeal to little kids who watch their YouTube videos so that they can make a bunch of money. They're the literal definition of grifters, the very definition of it. They make videos for money to fool people. They've actually put out fake UFO videos in the past as well to trick the internet on top of that. They went out of their way to defame me in their video as well. And as I've said before, no matter when it happens, anytime in the future, when these videos become authenticated, I'm going to send the families after the Corridor crew. I'm going to send them after Mick West. I'm going to send them after Jonas DeRoe and all these people that made these fake debunks that came out really hard against me in the videos. Because those are the people the family should be suing. They should be taking every penny from them for covering this information up and going out of their way to do so when they had no reason to get involved whatsoever. It's one thing to debunk random lights in the sky that are harmless. 239 people disappeared on this plane. The plane was never found. Not one body, not one piece of luggage. If you are covering this up, you are a terrible human being, and you should rethink your life decisions. I promise you, I don't care how long it takes, you will have what is coming to you get to you. I promise you that. So, not only that, the Corridor crew didn't come up with a single original thing. This idiot, Nico, sitting there looking like a moron when I was in the Danny Jones podcast, was just literally reading off the Metabunk website. Not only that, he couldn't even face me in real time or on a stream or anything. He had to make a video about it. His video is 15 minutes long. It only took me 8 minutes to debunk every single point that he made. Every single one. He thought it was daytime in the videos. He didn't even know we weren't looking at contrails because the clouds are cumulus clouds in the background. This is not a smart individual. This is not somebody who ever reviewed the evidence whatsoever. I might not be an expert on advanced science or VFX, but I'm an expert on the MH370 videos. Nobody knows more about them than I do. Nobody on this planet. That's the reality of it. That's not to be egotistical. That's just the truth. So when other people go out there and ask me, oh, well, haven't you seen this or that? I've seen literally everything. I've seen every single debunk attempt that's out there. I've reviewed these videos in more depth than anybody ever has. I would even put my knowledge of MH370 and the investigation up there with anybody, anyone, any of the independent group, any aviator, any engineer, any author, any of them. That's how confident I am in the strength of the evidence that I've made publicly available in my all pertinent evidence version 3, which you guys can find. I'm reading off of it right now. Real quick, I want to address some of the other debunks that are out there. Before we go on with this, there are no discrepancies in a single frame on either video. So if somebody made these videos, they didn't make a single mistake anywhere that anyone could find, even though we've had probably thousands of people poring over them frame by frame. You need a full story to explain how these videos are fake. Who faked them? Your fake needs to start with Regicide Anon being the hoaxer. Because if Regicide Anon is not the hoaxer, then why did Regicide Anon put in the description, received March 12th, 2014, 4 days after the plane went missing? That's consistent with these videos being leaked to the internet. That's not consistent with somebody hoaxing the videos. That's not enough time. Not even close to enough time. Not to mention that most of the data in the videos wasn't even available at that time. There's no way they could have known anything about it. They were still searching in the South China Sea on March 12th, 2014. The coordinates in these videos indicate the Nicobar Islands, the real location of the plane, the real location where the plane supposedly turned into the South Indian Ocean. There's actually coordinates in there that prove that location is the location that we see in these videos. Honestly, that's enough of a smoking gun that the videos are real all on its own. You know why? Because the publicly available data, the raw telemetry data, before we had the raw telemetry data, all they had was a chart, just a graph. And the graph just had some up and down lines, and not even the experts could make any sense of it. They had no idea what it meant or where the plane went. Mike Exner of the independent group told me directly, I have him on record, said that he didn't even know that the pings were real until June of 2014. The satellite video was published May 19th, 2014, 9 days before the raw telemetry data was even made available to the public. Did the hoaxer just guess the real location of the plane where Catherine T actually saw the plane? I've got 19 real witnesses who saw this plane consistent with a fire event. Not consistent with it flying into the South Indian Ocean, consistent with a fire event. So, the other debunks. People say the clouds don't move. They do move. You're only looking at each frame of reference for a few seconds in the satellite video. And we're looking at it potentially, if they are from satellite, it's from 1,100 kilometers away to 40,000 kilometers away if it was taken by a geostationary satellite, one of these ones that's in the Sibir system. 40,000 kilometers away. The further away you are, the less it looks like something's moving. That's why when we look out at Jupiter, we don't really see any movement. Everything looks like it's standing still. When you look up at your clouds that are only a few miles away outside your house or wherever you live, it doesn't look like the clouds are moving either. You're only looking in these videos at each particular segment for less than 5 seconds. And even then, when I'm just showing you now and you go back and forth, you can see the clouds evolving. Because the very less dense clouds, you can still see them evolving. So the clouds do move. Again, as a statement of fact. The smoke flows naturally. There's been this argument there's jittery smoke trails or something. There isn't. Actually, the fact that the camera shakes, what we'll look at here in a second, is consistent with the videos being real. It increases accurately when they zoom in. Just like if I were to zoom in with my phone here and zoom in far away, it's going to, and just because of my hand moving a little bit, it's going to shake. Same exact thing happens with the drone. The drone experiences accurate turbulence as it goes underneath the trail of the wake of the plane. So people have argued, well, it's not enough or it's too much or whatever turbulence. These drones are very stable. It's a very large craft. You see accurate shake when it goes through, just like you would expect from a plane being at altitude at roughly 5,000 to 7,000 feet. I don't think there's really any other ones that I have to address, but some people say it doesn't look right, which isn't really an argument. People will say that, I think I saw one silly one where somebody tried to compare two frames and say that the plane was moving at like 1,200 miles an hour. We actually have analysis of the speed of the plane. It's moving at between 150 and 250 miles an hour, consistent with maxing out a 777 while in turn doing an emergency maneuver while descending, which is corroborated by a witness, real witness, and a Chinese-only Mayday call. There's also somebody that claimed the two frames were the same. So go ahead and address that debunk. I actually have a clip up for that, ready to go. Oh, also I want to point this out about the Pyromania VFX as well. Going back to the Pyromania VFX. This is a real picture from the upload of the Pyromania VFX in January of 2023. This is where supposedly these debunkers have been getting the assets from. Do you notice anything weird about these pictures? First of all, none of them have been edited in any way, consistent with what people say that the MH370 videos are from. And these are some major video games. That's Diablo right here. This is Command and Conquer. These are all using assets from this package. None of them have been edited. They don't change the color of them, the size. They don't reshape them. Hey, look. In this one, they actually took the MH370 Zap and they put it into this asset. This is not from the Pyromania asset. This blue line here is from the MH370 video. Somebody fabricated this set of pictures and put the MH370 Zap in it. Same with down here. This is the MH370 Zap down here. This one on the right is the Pyromania. Somebody actually added this to the images to make it appear as though the MH370 Zaps are from this package, and they're not. Wild. Somebody literally fabricated, and this is from January 2023, 7 months before I even got involved in this case. Someone was already fabricating fake evidence against the case. This alone should rule out anybody who's trying to reference the Pyromania VFX. This shows malicious intent. That's basically the equivalent of somebody taking a picture of Joe Rogan and trying to make him look sicker than he really was. It's dishonest. It comes from a bad faith spot. Pretty crazy, huh? Okay, so yeah, and the one where there was supposedly somebody claimed that there was two frames that were the same. So we looked at those two frames, and we used some analysis to get the frames to overlay over one another exactly. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. Where is it? Okay. So we took the two frames, and again, they fabricated another fake debunk. So what they did, if the two frames in question were the same, this would be a white picture. This is like it's like a subtraction from one picture to the other. If this picture was white, the two frames would be the same. You can clearly see that they are not the same. You can see the reticle is not in the same place. You can see that the distortion in the background from it being nighttime and night vision is not the same. In fact, they used a bunch of filters to try to blend it, to try to get them to match as best they could, which is why you see this more whiteness around the plane here as well. And even when they manipulated it, they still couldn't get it to even come close to matching. So this one was pushed by somebody named Estimate of the Situation. He's a fraud. He sells comic books about UFOs and conventions. Nobody should listen to anything he has to say. I tried to bring this up to him many times, and even after I've pointed this out to him, shown him this picture, he refuses to accept the reality that he's wrong and that he lied about it. Just the truth. So I wish people could be honest, because it gets annoying to have to address all these various weird debunks that people imagine they're there that aren't real. But that's what apparently it takes when you want to push the truth out there. Okay, so I think I've addressed the most of the debunks that are out there. And again, it just goes to show how dishonest some people have been regarding these videos. If these videos were fake, I'll go through the evidence for what it required to fake these videos, guys. We would have found the plane. That's the number one thing. We would have found the plane. Nobody's faking these videos and then us not finding a plane. That's pretty damn coincidental. Somebody faked these videos and, oh, by the way, we never found a plane, and we've got 2 videos showing a plane getting zapped out of space-time. So I'll pull this over here so you guys can see that I'm not lying about this. I've got all the evidence here. I've got my flight path explainers linked in the evidence. You guys can find this in the reply to my pinned tweet. It's all there. Nothing is being hidden from anybody. It's all in the public. You can figure it out yourself. And before I do that real quick, I want to address the debris. Oh, we found some debris. Okay, so the official search found no debris. They had 80 planes and boats. They found nothing. The tiny amounts of debris that was found is actually consistent with a fire/teleportation event. They even found a B777 fire suppression device that had to be empty because it washed up in the Maldives. It has a serial number on it. They didn't even look into it. The debris washed up 3,000 miles away in Africa. The debris is actually not even consistent with being able to go that far in the period of time it would have taken for them to find it there. The barnacles on the flaperon are also not potentially consistent with the angle that it would have to be outside of the water. The way the debris floats is by wind pushing on it. The wind pushes on it, and that's how the wind causes the debris to float. In order for the debris to get to the location Africa needed to get, it had to, depending on the type, the debris that it was, had to drift 5 to 10 miles in a straight direction for like 500 straight days. It's completely insane and illogical. The first debris model that they put in completely failed, and the debris would have showed up in the Middle East. So they ended up throwing another one. No one can explain how a piece of engine cowling that has Rolls-Royce written on it, consistent with the Rolls-Royce engines from MH370, like basically like a piece of paper, essentially, like the edge of the outer cowling of the engine. They can't figure out how it washed up in South Africa 3,000 miles away. It should have washed up in Australia, yet nothing washes up in Australia. At some point, people just need to come to terms with the fact that this debris that was found did not come from a plane that crashed in the South Indian Ocean. I think it does come from MH370. Just didn't go in the water anywhere near Australia. In fact, there's a place that would be much more logical and much closer. It's called Diego Garcia Military Base. It's about halfway between where the location where they claim the plane crashed and Africa and the Reunion Islands. In fact, if you look at the debris drift analysis, it's right along the path. Gets you right there. But in case you don't think the debris comes from it, some people don't. The flaperon actually was not matched by unique serial number. The unique serial plate was missing. You can Google this. You can see it for yourself. Joe Rogan, Jamie Vernon, whoever else is looking at this for Joe Rogan's team. Just go ahead and Google it. You know what? In fact, I'll Google it right now while you're watching. 70 flaperon serial plate. Missing ID plate delays confirmation of MH370. That sounds interesting. Why isn't the media report on that? Huh. Oh, there should be a serial plate that clearly is bolted into the part and it's just mysteriously missing. Why is it missing? The effect of seawater on the adhesive bonds that bonds it to the structure. The seawater made a plate that is clearly screwed in wash off. Well, that's very convenient. So what did they use to match it instead? Oh, they used a partial part number to match the flaperon. Well, it turns out there's other planes that were actually, at least one other plane purchased by GA Telesis, an exact replica of the plane bought from Malaysian Airlines that was sold and scrapped in October of 2013. No one knows where that plane is. So if you need some alternate debris that has exact match to MH370, it's out there. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go through everything, guys, because this is not the evidence review, but I did do an evidence review stream where you guys can check it out for yourself if you want. I'm going to go ahead and go through the evidence. I'm going to go through 2 pieces here, guys. This is what I want Joe Rogan to know, okay? These are the requirements to fake these videos. Get ready. Unclaimed $150,000 bounty. Between 4 and 72 days to create the videos, depending on if Regicide Anon is the hoaxer. If Regicide Anon is the hoaxer, then you have May 19th at the best. If Regicide Anon is not the hoaxer and has no reason to lie in their description, then you have 4 days to make the videos before the information is even available, before the world even has any idea where the plane is. There is no reference to copy any of this from. There is not a person with balls on them and moving around with CGI that you can mimic this from. There's no videos out there that this was like a copy from. This is a completely original work. This is why you can't modify something and make it look like something else, because there's no reference. You don't have the benefit of looking at two things side by side. This is what the debunkers, the people that think the Pyromania VFX, they just changed everything around. What, randomly? Oh, no, they compared... Oh, yeah, what did they compare it to? Nothing. There's nothing to compare it to. Realistic volumetric clouds accurately animate the cameras, including the shake on the cameras as it zooms in. How the clouds form at low altitudes, the cumulus clouds, consistent with the weather that was there at the time. How to accurately light the volumetric clouds, which again requires a full 3D rendered environment. You cannot accurately light the volumetric clouds like this using Adobe After Effects. You need a full 3D rendered environment. Exact replica of MH370. If you go look at my profile, this is an exact overlay of the plane with the drone video thermal. That is an exact match. What the radius of the Boeing 777 looks like, while in descent at a certain altitude, where the plane would have been at the exact time before it was even, the public telemetry data was even known. Accurate coordinate shifts that are relative to the location that are accurate to 6 decimal places. We graphed it out, and this is how we were able to figure out that it has to be in the Nicobar Islands and the plane has to be going to the south and to the east in the video. How to animate those coordinate shifts. You would need a whole separate program just to make the coordinate shifts, to make them accurate, because they're accurate and you can like look at them and see that it's really accurate coordinate shifts that we see in the video. Well, I'll show you this here in a minute. You have to be aware of the fire scenario. The fire scenario, Malaysian Airlines lied about the batteries on the plane until March 20th, 2014, over a week after the plane went missing, 2 weeks actually. Why were they lying about 487 pounds of lithium-ion batteries in the cargo? They claimed there was no dangerous cargo. I would argue 487 pounds of lithium-ion batteries is very dangerous. Somehow you had to be aware of this, because again, if we go back and look at this image, this heat signature is right where the AC exhaust ports are, underneath the landing gear. This is consistent with this being smoke being flushed out of the plane, and we're seeing the heat from the hot smoke that's permeating throughout the plane, through the air conditioning system, and being flushed out here. Okay. Again, the accurate camera shake that increases when we zoom in. Knowledge of military classified systems that are completely unknown to the public. You'd have to know that the military is using a Citrix environment. I'll go over that in a minute with the videos. The frame rate difference captured between the satellite footage in the background and the mouse that we see in the foreground of the satellite video. The type of mouse, which we see a different type of acceleration when the perspective changes compared to when the mouse moves. So they would have to use something like what I'm using here with this middle mouse thing. You'd have to know what satellites are in operation. The first video is a 3D parallax video from Regicide Anon. So this is the one that I haven't shown very much recently, but this is a 3D parallax video. The counter argument the debunkers have used is that YouTube could supposedly do this, but they depreciated the capabilities back in 2015. So apparently for a very short window of time, YouTube can convert a video to 3D, and that's what they claim that this is, but it's completely indistinguishable from a real 3D video. In fact, we've proven this video is 3D because we went ahead and converted it to 3D. Here it is. That's both of those videos set up side by side using a 3D combination software that combines them together. You can actually put red and blue glasses on and you can watch this in 3D, just like you were watching a Marvel movie. So somebody either converted this, Regicide Anon either converted this, or this is the real format of the video that they were received on the internet. There's no way for us to know. But if it is 3D, we've got a pair of satellites right above the locations. Take a look at the time at the top of the screen. 1833 UTC, 1835 UTC, 1840 UTC, NROL 34, USA 229, with its sister satellite right next to it, is staring down at the coordinates at the right time to be able to take the 3D stereoscopic imagery that we just looked at. This is your second smoking gun. We have a low Earth orbit satellite in the right location. Well, why is the video, people say when they look at this, why does it look like that the satellite's not moving? Why does it look stationary? Well, we know that we're not looking at a moving satellite because the coordinates don't move in real time. When we look at these coordinates down here in the bottom left, they only move when the perspective moves. If the satellite was moving, then the coordinates would be moving all the time because it's accurate to 6 decimal places, meaning even a small movement of the satellite would move the coordinates. This shows that what we're looking at here is a computer-generated image pulling data from the satellites, which is consistent with what SBIRS is. This is SBIRS. This is Lockheed Martin, once again, scanning the whole world with their geostationary satellites, their mid-Earth orbit satellites that you see here, and low Earth orbit satellites, which are not pictured like USA 229. They have a stare and they have a scanner. This information has never been made publicly available, or at least not widespread publicly available until we looked into it. You can see the stare and you can see their scanner. You can see the huge ranges these things are scanning. Combined, they're scanning the whole world every 10 seconds. These are capable of picking up a missile launch within a fraction of a second, which should let you know that following a plane is basically simple for these types of objects or this type of system. This type of system is going to have a 3D video playback potentially. I say potentially because we don't know if it's necessarily 3D, but if this video is accurate, then it is. That can pull back video playback of pretty much anywhere on the planet at any time. And that's what this video is, because when we look here, and I'll switch to the high quality version of this that's not 3D. We see the mouse come in. We can see the smoke trails coming out of the back of the plane. We can see the cumulus clouds here. You see the mouse come in, which is at a 24 frames per second, and the background is 6 frames per second, indicating that this is a Citrix session logged into a database. So this tells us the military uses Citrix for their spy satellite database, which makes sense. Everybody uses Citrix. Bottom left, if you look in the bottom left down here, you can see NROL 22. The only debunk from mainstream media claims that this video says NROL 33. You can tell it's not 33 because you can see 93, which is the coordinates right here. This says 8.8, and then next to it says 9.3 over here. These are the coordinates of the Nicobar Islands. NROL 22 was launched into space in 2006. The debunk from Newsweek claims that that NROL 33 was launched in 2014 after the video was made. Well, it's not NROL 33, it's NROL 22. Also, NROL 22 is also called USA 184. This is the first launch of the SBIRS system, the very system that we're looking at here. So that seems like quite a coincidence to put into your fake video. How did they do? It must have done a lot of research to figure this all out. We can see our orbs begin to circle the plane here in a 120-degree sinusoidal pattern. This has been graphed out. It's a perfect wave function. When people tried to fake this, they couldn't even fake the movement of the orbs because it's too accurate to real life and science. They're clearly mapping the plane and performing some kind of purposeful event here on the plane. This is the mouse that you see down here. Again, the mouse changes color, whether or not it's over the background or over the clouds. It either becomes transparent or it goes blue. The orbs change their orientation here and begin to circle in a ring formation. The moment the orbs get to this location, they actually begin to slow down. You can see them slow down a little bit right there, and then boom, the plane gets zapped and phased out. And even though the plane gets phased out, it's not like the background is still perfectly accurate. There's no change whatsoever. And again, this zap, look at the zap accurately illuminate the clouds here. Accurate illumination everywhere. Down here in the bottom right, there's basically no illumination. But right next to the plane, you see a huge amount of illumination. And you can even see the reflection of the zap on the clouds over here on the left as well. Accurate illumination in 3 dimensions on these clouds. Okay. Then the plane's gone. I don't think I missed any details on this, but I'll come back if I need to. Now let's take a look at the second one here. Now the drone video, right away we can tell we're looking at a drone. I mean, this is, you couldn't ask for more than this. This is an MQ-1C Gray Eagle. We looked at the MQ-9 Reaper, but only the MQ-1C Gray Eagle there's actually a specific loadout right under the wing where you can set up weapons or cameras. You can find the pictures of the MQ-1C Gray Eagle on Google. where you can see the actual drone with these types of aerial surveillance cameras on them. The MQ-9s seem to have the Gorgon stare, which is ones where they look down at cities and they can take full maps and see people working out in the middle of the streets. This one is an aerial surveillance package. So this is going to be more consistent with our MQ-1C Grey Eagle, but we reserve the right to say that it could potentially be an MQ-9. They both have basically the exact same body layout. This is not the camera underneath the nose of the drone. It's going to be one under the wing. This is potentially the camera, the housing of the camera. When you look at these cameras, there's like a layer right above the camera. So it looks like it's the wing, but it's not necessarily the wing here. Now, right away, when it starts to go underneath the wake here, you can actually see the smoke begin to build up here as well. This is also going to be accurate because once you see the smoke building up, you're going to see it more dense like this as well. So this is all, again, more small details somebody would have to fake. Now watch when the camera zooms in here. The person is manually tracking this plane. They zoom in, you can actually see the parallax on the clouds as it zooms in. Dynamic parallax here. Dynamic parallax on a fake hoax video. Somebody spent a lot of time to fake this if they did. These, it's easy to get base parts of the videos to copy them. Somebody can copy the Mona Lisa. But to get all of these small details the way that they're set up is extremely difficult. Both videos are in perfect synchronization from two different perspectives, opposite perspectives, in fact. The orbs are moving in counterclockwise rotation in both of them. Now, we can see the heat signatures of the orbs as well. We can already begin to see the geodesic in front of them. Geodesic is them creating their own gravity wells. It's basically like spreading out or creating space, and that's why you see it as a cold line in front of the orbs. You can already begin to see the heat signature, and you can see them spinning as well. The heat signature is spinning, where we can see that magnetic monopole. Bob Green argued that they are actually potentially absorbing energy from the area around them as well, and that they are self-sustaining. Now, what we're looking at here is not a metal ball. This is going to be a plasma sphere around the object. So this is the part where when I look at the UFO community in general, this is the part where I think that they're just completely off base. When we look at something like this can explain why you would see balls of light. This is ball lightning, potentially, that we're looking at here. We're not necessarily looking at some type of traditional flying saucer here. And that's also why we see them warp a little bit, where they get flatter or not as flat, because you're looking really at a ball of energy. And then we can tell that somebody is manually tracking the plane. There's actually a little bit of a delay, which is why the person's having a hard time keeping the plane in focus. And that's why the shake increases as well. When the orb goes through the smoke trail of the plane, they actually get distorted. I have a different video where I can show that. Let me see if I have it up here. Sorry, I'm looking at it. Oh, here it is. Okay, so this one you can actually see right here. The orbs are being distorted when it goes through the back of the plane as well. So these are details that nobody would ever fake in their video. Just way, way too detailed. Look at that. Accurately distorted when it goes through the background. I mean, right there. This distortion here like this, far too intricate. This is either, you know, Marvel Studios producing this, or this is just a real video, right? Now, we know that they know something's going to happen here because they're zooming in and out right before this zap happens. So this is an operation that they are planned out, definitely. The drone is actually very close to the plane as well, which would only be doing that during an operation. And then we see the orbs converge. They're amplifying the energy required to break the Schwinger limit. Boom, break through the fabric of reality. Spoiler alert, we have an extra dimension that we don't perceive. Everything in space and time is connected despite the distance. This is how you can have faster than light communication, faster than light travel. Nobody thought that we could pull off anything like this. This is actually the original footage of the video as well, where it begins to show the orbs and the non-radiating barrier around them. So this is now, whoever wanted this out, they wanted people to really look at this. If you're making a fake hoax video, the last thing you're going to do is you're going to try to highlight how great your job was and risk the chance that somebody would find a small detail and inaccuracy. This is them showing us this video is real, and what you're seeing here is real, and daring us to try to debunk anything we see. And spoiler alert, nobody has debunked anything about these orbs ever. In fact, this video, the only thing anyone has ever even tried to debunk about this video is the zap that we see right here. And then they show it to us in super slow-mo twice to show us how real this is. If somebody had added a Pyromania VFX and modified it all around, the last thing they're going to do is show it twice in super slow-mo. They want to trick you. They don't want to show it to you in slow-mo and dare you to try to debunk it. They're doing this because it's real. They're showing us this because they want us to see how the science works. We can see the orbs reorient. So the same time in the other video where the orbs slow down, in this video you can see the orbs reorient right here, and they come out of that, and then they are in a specific orientation, and then they converge on the plane. So right about here, you're going to see them reorient right there. They're reorienting. That's why you don't see the heat signature, and then the heat signature appears. You can tell the orbs now have a new orientation, converge on the plane, and poof. Now, in this frame right here, you can even see the orbs flatten. The azimuth is being formed. We're seeing gravitational lensing happening because the electromagnetic field that's being generated here is rapidly increasing in power exponentially, or energy. And we can also see the plane blur. Acceleration has already begun. We can see the plane get slightly smaller than the frame beforehand. And then we see the plane disappear. In the frame right after, it's so fast that you can actually still see the tail of the plane. And from the previous frame, the plane is actually pulled backwards here. Now, if this plane is flying east and it's getting pulled backwards, then the most likely location where this plane is showing up is somewhere over here to the west. And we went ahead and we looked, and it turns out, would you guess it? The B-77 fire suppression device washes up over here in the Maldives. 20 islanders on a small island over here that don't see jumbo jets, see the red and white stripe of Malaysian Airlines. And in fact, one of them mentioned seeing steam or fumes coming out of the back of the plane. And they saw it flying where? South to Diego Garcia. Guys, the videos are real. I don't know what else I got to do to tell you or convince you. I don't even really care. So the next thing I want to talk about real quick here, we've been already going for an hour and a half. We've been cooking. Thank you all the people that are here watching. Welcome to the real story of MH370. What really happened to this plane. In fact, what I'm going to go ahead and do real quick is I'm going to play while I have a drink. I'm going to play my flight path explainer for you guys so that you guys can get the story of what happened very quickly. You can visualize what happened with this plane. Now that I've shown you the videos, shown you the strongest evidence for them being real, all the intricate details. If you want to know the science, check out my Hard Truths podcast. I don't want to be a podcaster. I don't want to be famous. The only reason why I talk to these people is because they're telling the truth, and the information and the science that they've been sharing is consistent with what we see in these videos. I don't think any of this would be possible unless it was real. How many times have people had fake videos and had a bunch of scientists want to come out there and talk to them and go, yeah, this is how this all works? Never. How many times has Jeremy Corbell ever had a scientist come up to him and go, hey, I want to have him talk about the science related with your video, with your jellyfish UFO, and tell you how that works? Never. Never. So let me find my flight path explainer. I might have to do this for my YouTube channel. I'm okay. I'm going to do it for my YouTube channel, chat. Like, I have so many videos that it's actually become unwieldy to try to figure out where I have all my stuff hidden. So if you guys go to my channel, here it is. You can see us live right now. Letter Joe Rogan, 300 people watching. Here's my Hard Truths podcast. If you guys go to podcast here, you can listen to all of them. There's more that I'm going to be putting out as well. Looks like I needed to shave in this particular one. Okay, if you guys really care, the most important ones to listen to are going to be number 1 with Salvatore Paez, number 2 with Bob Grenier, number 3 with Dave Rossi, and number 4 with Dave Rossi and Salvatore Paez. Now, the other ones are great too. Roy D. Herbert's awesome. Chad from Investigate Earth is awesome. Mark Sokol was awesome as well. The reason why these are the best, Salvatore Paez has 3 patents. Why is Salvatore Paez talking to me, some random nobody, when he's got UFO patents that are out there, patents that can change the world? Because he knows. He's seeing stuff consistent with what's in these videos. That's the only conclusion. Bob Grenier, low energy nuclear reactions, alchemy, cold fusion. Especially at the end, we talk about the implications of these videos. Dave Rossi. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing you guys. Number 3, Dave Rossi. He is a DoD contractor and engineer. He is actually somebody that works, or theoretically works on stuff like special access programs. He is on the record saying that he thinks these videos are real and that he's seen effects like this in the laboratory. He said it on Tim Pool. So you want to go watch Tim Pool and you want to hear him say that, go for it. And then I had Salvatore Paez and Dave Rossi at the same time, both, and we actually talk vividly or openly about the videos in this podcast number 4. Very worthwhile to check out. Now, how do I go to my channel? Okay, now videos, Flight Path Explainer. Here it is. Okay, let's listen to this. Hello, chat. This is Ashton Forbes, here to bring you the MH3. I try to make it as simple as possible for everybody out there. Hello, everybody. This is Ashton Forbes, here to bring you the MH370X Flight Path Explainer. The plane takes off at 1642 UTC from Kuala Lumpur, headed to Beijing. At 1719 UTC, the pilot says, "Good night, Malaysian Airlines Flight 370. Around 1721 UTC, a lithium-ion battery fire explosion occurs and is seen by Mike McKay on an oil rig 300 miles away. He sees fire for 5 to 10 seconds. 9 witnesses along the coast hear loud noises at the same time. The plane goes dark. In the case of a fire, the first response is to pull the main buses and restore the circuits one by one until you have isolated the bad one. If they pulled the buses, the plane would go silent. The plane heads towards Penang, Langkawi International Airport. The pilot knew the train was friendlier towards Langkawi, which was also closer than Kuala Lumpur. At 1730 UTC, there's a communication with another pilot who hears the voice of one of the pilots of MH370. At the same time, 8 fishermen on a boat 10 miles off the coast see the plane flying unusually low, consistent with a depressurization emergency event attempting to provide oxygen for the passengers. The Malaysian Minister of Defense claims the plane was not identified, but admits they knew it was a non-hostile civilian airliner. The plane flies over Langkawi at 1752 UTC when the co-pilot's cell phone pings a cell tower. The plane doesn't land either due to the fire or because they have communicated a rendezvous point. The plane continues to the Nicobar Islands until around 1840 UTC when a witness, Kate T, sees a glowing orange plane with dark smoke coming out of it. This is consistent with the crew battling the lithium battery fire with halon fire suppression devices, releasing bromine, a halogen gas. Soon after, the videos begin. They show smoke coming out of the back of the plane consistent with the fire. The plane is descending in the videos consistent with an intercepted, Chinese-only reported communication that claims the plane was attempting an emergency landing and disintegrating. The plane's altitude is low in the videos, as proven by the cumulus clouds that only form between 1,000 and 5,000 feet, also consistent with the witness's sighting. And then I let it play out right here with no sound. I do want to correct this. Not Langkawi, it's just Penang. Everything else is accurate. And there you go. So, that is our Flight Path Explainer. Now, if we go back, I have one other explainer, I think, as well, which I'll go ahead and play just so that we... Oh, yeah, and so here is the cloud. Here's the video of the cloud being displaced. I want to show this as well. So a lot of analysis was done by different people that show the first orb actually displaces the cloud when it comes through right here. Right there. Here we go. Oh, don't worry, I'll show you again. So if you look closely, you'll be able to see that this orb displaces the cloud. Right before it gets there, you can see a little hole begin to show up. It's very slight, but it is there. And this basically also, it happens right before it gets there, consistent with these lines showing up in front of the plane, or the orbs. And so again, this is another detail that's going to rule out some 2D cloud picture being used. So they show it side by side here. Okay. Let me see here. Oh yeah, okay. And then this part too is also really important. You can see the cloud movements here as well. So they draw some lines to make it easier for you to see. And again, this is only a few seconds here as well. And you can already see the cloud shifting right here. And then I think, oh yeah, then there's some random weird object down there. Now, I think they actually show in the second video, and I got permission, by the way, to show this. Oh, yeah, and then you can see the clouds be displaced as well before and after the zap. There's a slight change here as well. So, again, these are all details that we actually showed right before the cloud debunk came out. And then all of a sudden this cloud debunk comes out. Now, I think this one also has the analysis that shows the clouds moving. Yep, so there's the cloud movements again. Cloud movements. You can see the cloud movements very clearly. It's not a lot, but there's a little bit, and it's there for sure. Then I think... is this not the one that they show? Anyway, that's enough cloud movement stuff, guys. Hey, JK Philly fan. Hey, Red Panda, and everybody else has been jumping in. Okay, so sorry. Are there any other questions that I can address while I've got everyone here? Okay. If not, then I think what I want to do is I want to discuss... Let me see what else I got here. Let me just look through, make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, yeah. So the clouds matching up in both images as well, right? This is another really important one. I think I already spoke. Actually, I already spoke to that one. We're good on that one. I think I've addressed everything at this point. Great. Okay. What I want to do now then, before I close this stream down, is I want to address what I want out of this and what I've been trying to do with this. So, like I said before, I don't care about being famous. I don't care about being somebody. I haven't been selling anything. I think a lot of people go on podcasts because they want to sell their book or whatever else. There's a lot of people in this UFO community that are doing that as well. And that's not something I've ever been trying to do. The only reason why I made that podcast was to talk to those scientists and engineers, and I've got more on the way as well, including some I've already recorded. I'm just a very busy person. I have a normal job. I've been in healthcare IT my whole life, 18 years. I've been a normal working class guy, working my way up, slaving away, not somebody that's in upper management or anything like that. And I just want the truth, is that I saw these videos, and I knew there was more going on here. And it's not like I knew right away all this stuff. It took months of research to look through this, to dig through every piece of evidence that's ever been out there regarding MH370. I've made connections, and I've spoken to every single independent group expert that's out there. I've spoken to Florence Tachangi multiple times, many times. In fact, I'm hoping to have her on my podcast at some point in the future. Because she is somebody who, while she doesn't necessarily believe that we can teleport an object, knows that the United States government's implicated in the disappearance of this plane. There's a reason why the White House was calling Malaysia to set a narrative every single day after the plane disappeared. There's a reason why the nephew of the pilot was told that his uncle was collateral damage. That's consistent with an espionage event. That's consistent with us taking the plane. There's a reason why the French father, Ghislaine Watrellos, was told he lost his wife and kids in the plane. He was told the Americans had 2 AWACS radar planes in the area and that they know exactly what happened to the plane. Guys, all you have to do sometimes is listen, and you can get the truth. I just want the truth for the families. These people were lied to. They were gaslit. They were told some bull crap. If you go back and look at any of it, you will find this and see it for yourself. No, I'm not telling anyone to believe what I'm saying because everything I'm saying is verifiable. And whether or not you believe me, whether or not I go on Joe Rogan or not, it doesn't matter. It really makes no difference because I know we're never going to find that plane. And I know that the United States government has it and has technology that is essentially magic to us, which means that eventually that technology will come out. The technology that's required to teleport an airplane is not an invention. It's a discovery. It's a discovery of unification theory of the forces, a theory of everything, if you will. This unification theory will allow us to have quantum effects on a macro scale level. Listen to my Hard Truths podcast with Roy D. Herbert, theoretical physicist. He has a theory called dilation theory, which that time is a fluid symmetry, and that things that happen on the small scales can happen on the large scales. Behavior is a matter of the properties of an object, regardless of size. So if you can get an object to act like a quantum object, now you can have the effects of a quantum object. Look at the delayed choice quantum eraser double slit experiment variant. you will see from this that not only does the wave function break down in the double slit experiment, which is now that we have an object that is a probabilistic point in space and time, which becomes a deterministic one, but you can rebuild the wave function. If you can rebuild the wave function, you're basically telling the universe, I don't know where this went. This is very similar to the idea on a macro scale of teleportation. Is the plane over here or is the plane over here? We can cheat the universe. You only need to understand two things for these videos to be real. You need to understand that there's an extra dimension that we do not perceive in our reality, an underlying framework or construct to our reality that we do not understand. If you understand that, then you understand how every point in space and time is actually connected behind the scenes. You can also understand how time is an illusion and that time is not linear, despite the fact that we perceive it that way. The only other thing that you need to know and understand is that space is not empty. Space is not empty. There is an underlying framework for it. If we tap into it, we can tap into negative entropy, negative energy, however you want to think of it, the opposite of what we experience out here. And with these types of effects, we can create teleportation. We can have force fields. Jack Sarfati was talking about white hole force fields on Jeremy Reese, the Alien Scientist podcast. It's essentially the same concept. We can have cloaking devices. We can have portable fusion generators in a bubble. You look at those bubbles of those balls. In fact, we might be looking at it in those balls of energy. Portable fusion, ball lightning. There's alchemy going on inside there, just like the sun. And then we can also have over unity, free energy devices, a device that you can open up to the fabric of space-time and borrow energy from the latent vacuum, and that you can produce more energy out than you're getting in. Think of it like utilizing the magnetic field of the Earth and using that to surf on or to create some form of propulsion. Essentially, you're getting free energy out of it. You just need to develop the right system that can tap into it. And then, of course, the reason why this is all covered up, this is the point for the UFO community, that the UFO community needs to understand more than anybody else. This is a weapon. This is a doomsday weapon. This can be turned into a directed energy weapon, but it can be turned into something much, much worse than that. This can be turned into a device where if you can amplify energy enough to break the Schwinger limit, then you're talking about energy levels being exponentially increased. And if you can increase your levels exponentially, why do you stop right here? You can create energy levels that are so powerful that you can destroy an entire planet. And when you can amplify energy like this, it becomes very dangerous. This is an ultimate weapon. This is a super weapon. This makes nukes look like little child's toys. Nukes are not the scariest thing on the block anymore. The weapon that we see in the MH370 videos is the scariest weapon on the planet. Whoever controls that controls the entire planet. This brings into question the nature of the UFO phenomenon in general. Are there really even aliens out there? Or is it really just us and we've developed this narrative of aliens in order to keep this idea secret? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. Or maybe we dug up some alien crafts that crashed here 1 million years ago, and we found them buried in the earth. And then we figured out how they worked over the last 80 years until we figured out the discovery of the unification theory. The science behind this has been suppressed in the West. If you want to know how the science works, look to the papers in the East. Russia, Korea, China. The reason why LK99 is coming out of Korea and China is because it's not been suppressed there like we have it suppressed here. We've probably figured it out a long time ago. The amount that we are advanced secretly is potentially 100 or hundreds of years more advanced than we are publicly. This begs the question of what is the real impact of disclosure? It's potentially far more than even a psychological impact. It's an impact of our entire economy. It will wipe out entire industries overnight. The whole Middle East economy will become obsolete. All fossil fuels become obsolete. It will change everything. And the psychological impact can also not be ignored. The people that think that they've been told everything about this world for their entire lives, my entire life, people like my parents who are over 70 years old, how are they going to react to the idea that everything they've been told their entire lives is a lie? and that their government is willing to lie about anything. They're willing to have fake experts go on CNN and tell them that phones can ring while they're submerged underwater for 4 days and believe it. And believe it. That is going to break people's minds. It already has. Look at how many people have tried to scam and come up with fake debunks and convince the world and Joe Rogan and all these other people that this stuff's fake. I've had people talk to every single podcaster that has had me on and try to convince them to not have me on, because in their minds I must be a scammer, otherwise their world is a lie. Just think about that psychological damage on a broader scale. I'm just a random guy. If it turns out that people find out their entire governments and everything that they've been doing is manipulated and their whole lives have been manipulated, people are going to freak out 100%. But really the important part is that this stuff is a weapon, and then that begins to explain why it's been covered up. Regardless if it comes from aliens or if we figured it out ourselves, I don't really know, and I don't really give a shit. At the end of the day, all I want to do is help people, because when you look at that technology, to me, what I see is hope for a brighter future. I see purpose for people out there that want to know what the meaning of their life is. The meaning of your life is to make the world a better place for other people. For us to live in a place where we don't have to have half the problems that we have out there today. Does it mean that everything's going to be perfect? Absolutely not. No. But it means that we don't have to have people that are out there homeless and people that are going hungry, which to me seems like the basic requirements of civilization. Yes, it will take away power from the elites. That's probably the reason why it's being suppressed, if you just get down to brass tacks. Now, the last thing I think I'll say here is that this information, how is it suppressed? Extremely easily. Extremely easily. There's not a huge number of people that know. In fact, I've been talking to people in my DMs even recently that they themselves are very well knowledgeable and in the know, and they've done incredible stuff for the government. And not even they know about it. Unless you're one of the engineers and scientists that's in these special access programs, putting your phone in a Faraday cage, going into the lab, signing the NDA when you go in and out, you have no idea. Congress has no idea. The people in Congress think that we're looking at alien technology because they don't even realize how advanced we really are. Now, maybe it is alien technology, but it's not definitely alien technology. It absolutely could be our technology. We have not been doing nothing since the 1940s. We developed the SR-71 Blackbird in 1964. That was 60 years ago. That was a plane that could take an image while going at supersonic speeds to be able to read the words off of a book. So what have we been doing for the last 60 years? So this is the stuff that I want to keep in mind, is that it's kept secret for multiple reasons. How it's kept secret is because people have no incentive to come out. Look at the backlash that I've faced talking about this stuff. And this is in 2024, where we've gotten to the point where we've got phones that can take high definition cinema quality videos, and I can have a stream like this in 4K HD in real time. And yet people still can't even begin to comprehend the idea of macroscopic phase conjugation, warp speed, warp drive, hyperspace. No one can even comprehend these concepts, even in now's day and age. So why would an engineer, somebody who's being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, why would they come out? Why would they risk their neck? Why would they even try to convince people and educate people? It's not worth their time. I've spent a huge amount of time, probably thousands of hours, reviewing evidence, bringing evidence to the world, talking to you all in these streams. Other people don't want to do that. It's not worth it. In fact, they might get killed if they do. They can be threatened with their families. And some of them, they get off on the idea that they know and other people don't know. They're happy to lie to the public or not even go and talk to the public. It turns out that you don't even really need to sell disinformation to people, because people themselves are inherently distrustful. Even Jeremy Corbell, a guy who, by all accounts, has connections and has found videos and weird videos and pushed them out, even he can't comprehend these videos to be real, even though they are. That should tell you guys a lot about how good we are at telling reality from fiction. Even people whose whole jobs it is to be disclosure advocates and promote videos can't even tell when they're looking at real military videos, even when there's a drone in one of them, even when there's coordinates of the real location of a real event that happened. I mean, this is more evidence than Jeremy Corbell has ever put out for any video that he's ever published in his whole life. Him or George Knapp combined. This is more evidence than anything Ross Coulthart's ever done in his whole life. By far. And I don't mean this is to put those people down. I just want to put it in perspective for the people who are watching and who are listening. Talking about going and finding some buried craft or something like that, that's not journalism. That's just stories. It's not even something that's verifiable. The stuff that I'm presenting is verifiable evidence, verifiable science. I dare people, dare you to go pull up the Maxwell equation and look at the B field equation. B field times the del cross operator equals 0. Set it equal to A. Find out what happens when you do. You can manipulate gravity. It's that simple. That's how easy it is to lie to academics. Does anybody question it? Nobody questions it. Except for the people that know that there's something more going on with respect to the science. So this is the part where I would ask to the UFO community, I've given you disclosure on a silver platter. Whether or not you accept it is no difference to me whatsoever, because those videos are never going away. And over time, as the science comes out, no matter how long it takes, those videos will only become more and more authentic. And one day when it turns out that we can absolutely teleport a Coke bottle over into the other room over there, then you'll know beyond any shadow of a doubt that those videos are what really happened to the plane. And we're never going to find those black boxes. We're never going to find that plane, because they would tell the truth of what happened. They would tell that that plane didn't go 5-6 hours into the South Indian Ocean. That's why we're never going to find that. Even if they dumped the plane somewhere out there afterwards, they would have to fabricate the entire black box, and they'd have to make it consistent with this whole story that they've tried to sell people. And they would have to try to make it consistent with these fake pings that amounts to 10 rows on an Excel spreadsheet. So that's the reason, guys, why at the end of the day, I don't even care about going on Joe Rogan. That's the truth. So this is a message to Joe Rogan here, is that I love you, Joe. I think you're the best podcaster in the world. I think you have some of the best conversations. If I came on your show, you know what? I'd get super high with you, even on the show. Because A, I am confident enough that I can speak to the evidence even while I'm super baked, even while I've had a couple drinks. That's how well I know the evidence and the information back and front. And I think it would be a lot of fun. And I would risk my job and everything else with it just to do it, because you know what? Life's just worth living. That's the point of life in general. Even with all this stuff, even with there being an extra dimension, even with there being a construct, life is still worth living. But at the end of the day, I don't even really care about going on your show. That's the truth of it. Because when you're somebody who knows something this true about the world, and you know it's going to check out in the long run, then you have the ultimate level of confidence, right? And so that's the thing about it, is that I don't want to be a pariah. I don't want people going out there saying, oh, this is the crazy guy that thinks the planes can get zapped or whatever. I want the world to figure it out for themselves. And when the world figures it out for themselves, then you can come talk to me and ask me how I knew. Ask me how I figured it out. And I'd be happy to tell you. I'm an open book. I have nothing to hide whatsoever. And that's how I've been going through this whole investigation the entire time. So once again, I appreciate Joe Rogan. I appreciate all the podcasters who've had me on and all the ones that plan on having me on in the future. The evidence will get out there. The truth will be told one day. The families, I hope, will live long enough to hear the truth from the government that's been hiding this from them. Because I do think that this is the largest verifiable conspiracy of all time. There's other conspiracies that might be true, that you could argue are bigger or what have you, but this is one where not only did we take a plane that had 239 people on board, innocent people, where we vilified the pilot, but this is also one where we have anti-gravity and technology that is essentially magic, that people would never believe to be true without two videos in perfect sync like this. There is one other piece of evidence that I forgot to go through that I'm going to go through right now, which is I found the leaker. I found the guy that leaked these videos. If these videos were fake, then you tell me why Edward C. Lynn went to prison. Because I went ahead and looked into this guy, and Edward C. Lynn was assigned the VPU-2 Wizard spy plane squadron, special secret spy plane squadron, in February of 2014. And the espionage investigation into him began April 2nd, 2014. when you look at those videos, you can tell that the person who leaked these videos is going to be an operator. There's somebody who would have had an emotional reaction and leaked them out to the internet where Regicide Anon got them within 4 days. They removed the HUD data. They cropped out the drone from the satellite video. They were trying to minimize damage to U.S. intelligence. They were probably a patriot. And that's what Edward C. Lin is as well. He might have thought that he was looking at UFOs. Maybe he didn't even know about the Lockheed Martin technology. This technology is extremely compartmentalized. He flew in the Lockheed Martin EP-3 Ares II spy plane, which has real-time tactical SIGINT and full-motion video intelligence. He also flew in the Poseidon P-8 as well. The case against him had codename Rogue Archer. He had experience in signals intelligence, which is how all these assets, the drone, the satellite, the spy plane, all communicate with one another. We found evidence that he might have been reassigned March 25th, 2014. The defense argued that the classified information in question was available on the internet and has never been made publicly available. Or publicly known. We don't know. It's not even known exactly what the information was that he leaked, but it's out there on the internet somewhere. They tried to get him life in prison, the first time since the end of the Cold War that an active duty member has been charged with espionage. But you know what? It turned out there was no evidence he exchanged any information with anyone from China. Why is that interesting? Because this was an operation, an espionage operation against China for the Freescale Semiconductor employees who were defecting to China. So if somebody saw these videos leak out, they would think 100% this is a Chinese spy who is leaking these videos to China to tell them what happened to the plane. But it's not. He probably leaked them to his Taiwanese counterparts, who are actually our allies against China. And they got them out to the internet. And that's how we got to see the videos. So in the end, they had to admit that there was no evidence that he was spying for China at all. And he got caught with flight manifests in his flight suit that include search and rescue code names. So I FOIA'd the FBI and NCIS about everything related to this guy's case. They both rejected it entirely. The NCIS rejected the FOIA in total under an Obama-era exemption to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy. That's pretty weird, especially because it's not a spy case. They abused him. They didn't let him talk to the media. They kept him in pretrial detainment, even though the evidence to keep him in pretrial detainment that he was such a huge risk was mundane emails. They wouldn't show anything. They redacted everything about the case. And that's not what they do generally for espionage cases. They tell us generally what they were leaking. In fact, there was one recently where a guy was pled guilty to espionage where he was actually being paid money to give information to China, and he only got 2 years. Edward C. Lin was facing life in prison. And after they convinced him of taking a plea deal, he got 9-year sentence for just disseminating classified information. That is a huge sentence. He ended up spending 6 years in prison. 3 years shaved off because he worked with the NCIS and basically admitted that what he did was wrong and that he should serve as a warning to anybody else who would do anything like what he did. They made an example out of him. Edward C. Lin is a hero. He's a hero of disclosure. He's more of a hero of disclosure than any of the other UFO celebrity disclosure people that are out there. Because not only did he disclose videos to the world, but he explained to the world, he took a hit. He actually went out there and made the sacrifice. That's what being a hero is about. It's about taking a sacrifice. It's about taking the hit that's out there. I'm not a hero. In fact, I would argue I'm more of a monster than I am a hero. I'm somebody that will get the truth out there no matter what. No matter who stands in my way, I'm going to make sure that the truth gets out there. I'm going to use every single skill set that I've learned over my 41 years on this planet to make sure that the truth gets known. And the only way that I can be stopped is by putting me 6 feet underground. That's the only way. Eventually, MH370, what happened to this plane in these videos will be known to the public. I don't care who stands in my way or what it takes. And if that means going through the science and proving that we can teleport an object, then that's what it's going to be. I don't really care. So, Edward C. Lin, if you're out there, just know that we appreciate you. And I think that the next president of the United States should pardon this man, because if he were to get a pardon, then he might be able to speak about the videos under his plea deal. Even though he got out a year and a half ago, he could never speak about them. And yeah, it's an incredible case, guys. The MH370 case is, in my opinion, the greatest conspiracy ever and one of the greatest mysteries ever. And yeah, I think it'll change everything. So thanks everybody for coming out here tonight and listening to me rant on for a couple hours. Yeah, this anybody else as well, if you're watching this after the fact, thank you for checking it out. I think that hopefully I did everything justice here in the videos and the case. You guys can find on my pin tweet here the story of the espionage event as I've laid it out there. This is my best understanding of what happened to the plane, given the body of evidence, given the letter, the whistleblower letter to Ashton Forbes, that some of it I find compelling. It explains in my mind everything we see about the videos, the way they're filmed, who filmed them, why they filmed them, etc. It explains the motive behind why we would do it. It explains the power dynamics at play as well, which are the highest levels of espionage between various countries. And then explains where the plane went. And then it even explains Edward Sealand in here. And how at the end of the day, the people that we have to fear the most are ourselves and our government. This technology could be the reason why the Fermi paradox exists. It could be that we will obliterate ourselves with this technology. I've questioned whether or not it's appropriate to even disclose this technology many times every single day. But like I just told you guys, I'm not the hero. I'm the monster. I'm the one who's going to make sure this stuff gets out there. It's not my fault. The U.S. government shouldn't have been filming this. They shouldn't have done this if they didn't want this information to get out there. It's their fault at the end of the day. And then here's the all evidence link in the top of the reply here. So if you want to go through the evidence, I've got a hyperlink right here. I'll go ahead and copy this hyperlink and throw this in the chat, just so if anybody's watching. I don't know if that link will work. I think it should. You can take a look at it there. That's actually the real-time updated one. This one is also pretty up-to-date, pretty accurate. I've even put all the hyperlinks for the various videos to my YouTube channel if you want to take a look at them. So thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all hanging out here tonight. This was pretty sweet. I'm still technically retired, but I still am happy to talk to podcasters who want to know about my thoughts about anything. If you want, sure. People seem to enjoy talking to me. I did talk to Adrian Dittman the other night, last night actually. We had a really good conversation. You know, he's the guy that sounds exactly like Elon Musk, although I don't really like to say that just because he's his own person as well. But I think that once you've looked into these videos and once you've realized the implications of these videos being real, you will have a whole new perspective on life. It will change your perspective on everything. And that's important because this is how we're going to make a better civilization. This is how we're going to make a better future for ourselves. This is how we'll become an interstellar species. This is how we can help other people on a mass scale. And this is how, from the UFO community perspective, we can see what this phenomenon is really about. It's a lot more than about clapping alien cheeks, and it's a lot more about surfing on hovering crafts. It gets a lot darker than that, everybody. Okay, guys, I think so am I now back out of retirement? No, we're still in retirement. The only reason why I made this video tonight is because of the Joe Rogan clip. I think that when you have somebody as huge as Joe Rogan who gets millions of views, talk about your videos, your case, and they're not my videos, they're the world's videos, then I think it deserves a response. And so ultimately this stream was for him because, again, I love Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan has a platform where he can make a difference. And even if it's not talking to me, I want Joe Rogan to go out there and talk to other people. He talks about UFO stuff all the time. In fact, there's several more clips that I'm probably going to post that were later on where I think that they kind of dig into the same questions about, would this stuff be covered up? What does it mean to be covered up? How deep would the cover-up potentially go? Those are the kinds of questions and stuff that I think people need to be having. And I think the question that he should be asking is, would you still want disclosure if disclosure meant the end of the world? If it meant doomsday weapons that could destroy the planet? That's the real question that people should be getting asked. That's a question that I think will get people to think about the issue the right way. It's a lot more than socioeconomic impact. So last thing I'll say is that no, I am not suicidal. I would never harm myself in any way, shape, or form. I never will on this planet Earth. If anything were to happen to me, you should take it as something to be suspicious. You should look into it as a conspiracy. You should look into it as me being silenced, because I'm never going to do that. The reason why I have gone on all these podcasts is because I wanted to increase my profile to the degree where it would be very weird if I were to disappear. Because I do think that the nature of this is so huge that they absolutely would silence people in any way, shape, or form. Now, I think I've been pretty clear that, I would have been quiet if they had come to me early on and paid me like, I don't know, $10 million or something like that. I probably would have been quiet. Everybody's corruptible. Or if they had given me my ScarJo clone, I probably would have let it go. They probably could have convinced me to say that the Pyromania VFX is a perfect match, and that would have made this go away 100%. I mean, some of you would have been upset, but it would have gone away. But now, because it's gone this far and they haven't done it, now I need $10 million and the ScarJo clone. The price has gone up, everybody. Now you got to clone me a Scarlett Johansson, and I need $10 million. And that $10 million is just to help out my family and the people in my life that deserve it and deserve to live a better life. Now, of course, none of this will ever happen, but I think it's fun to dream. So thank you guys, MH370 tonight. We will talk again tomorrow. And I know I've delayed the scalar physics stuff for a couple days, but tomorrow we will talk about scalar physics. Tomorrow night we'll go over the Thomas Beardson stuff, or Bearden, and his science and the videos that have been circulating the last few days, because the scalar physics will corroborate pretty much everything that we've been talking about here tonight from the scientific perspective. Best we can do is a ScarJo doll. Yeah. Oh yeah, no taxes ever. Yeah, I probably should have gone with that one. That's a really good one. Damn. I hate doing my taxes. Okay, guys, I appreciate you. MH370X, I want to give a big shout out to everybody who's been in the Discord. In fact, I'll go ahead and share another link to the Discord. We'll do first 25 people that want to join tonight. We'll do a bit more than we normally do here. It's only going to last for 1 day, so you have to see this by this time tomorrow. And if so, you can check out this Discord link. If you want to join the Discord link live, then you need to make sure you verify. This means you have to go to the verify channel right after you join. You have to pass through the steps to verify. Then you have to wait like 10 minutes, and then it will let you post. That's the way that it works. And you have to be respectful in our Discord. We don't deal with trolls or any of that crap in our Discord. If you want to do that, this isn't the right Discord for you. This is a community of people that they enjoy high science. They enjoy talking about some of the esoteric aspects that are out there, and just people that are nice in general and friendly. And I think we have one of the best Discords and communities out there. And that's why I want to thank you guys all for being along and supporting and following along. Let's elevate our discourse and our conversations. Let's always try to be better than the person we were yesterday, because the human condition is a matter of learning day over day. And even though I was pretty harsh on a lot of people during this stream in general, I think that we should not hold any grudges and try to educate one another. And that's the only way I think civilization will, humanity will reach the levels that it should reach, where we can become like Star Trek. So thank you guys. Have a great night, and we'll talk tomorrow. Peace.